Because of popular demand, many of our participants asked to have Dr. Mordechai Kedar back. And this man is a treasure. This man is a person who's a world-renowned scholar on Islam, can explain in clear, definitive terms what's unique about Shia Islam, Sunni Islam, the world war that's going on between the Shia and the Sunni at this point in time, as well as within the fractures and the fissures within Sunni Islam. The Muslim Brotherhood, of which Hamas is a very significant part of, and their desire to eradicate any what they determine as Islamic land that is inhabited by Jews or Christians versus the mainstream Sunni Islam. In that war, that battle that we're dealing with that's going on right now. Professor Kedar, who is well known in Islamic circles, in Jewish circles, who's a professor at Bar Ilan, over the course of this discussion, will elaborate, analyze, contextualize for us the Islamic world, the issues in the Islamic world, and what we are facing, what we're looking at facing over the course of the next few hundred years of history. And with that, we're going to be giving you Professor Mordechai Kedar. Can I ask you, I apologize for this simplistic question. What is the flag behind you next to the Israeli flag?
Oh, that one. Well, this is the flag of the Ahwaz. Ahwaz is the Arabic-speaking district in Iran who is struggling for freedom from the Iranian state. And as you know, Iran is not one nation. It's not one ethnic group. Iran is deeply divided to many ethnic groups like Persians, who are not even the biggest group. The biggest one is Azerbaijanis inside Iran who speak Turkish. And Arabs, this is the flag of the Arabs who reside on the Persian Gulf or the Arab Gulf, depends who you are, where all the oil and gas is. There are Baluchis in the southeast part of Iran. There are Kurds in the northwest part of Iran, adjacent to the Kurds in Turkey, in Iraq. And there are Turkmens who are in the northeastern part of Iran. And in between, you have many, dozens of other groups like Mazandaranis, Caspianis, Bakhtiaris, Luris, Kashkais, and many more. And therefore, Iran will inevitably end up like the Soviet Union, being fragmented according to ethnic lines, just like what happened in the Soviet Union. And you know, the Soviet Union was divided to 15 ethnic states, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Armenia, and so forth. The same thing with Yugoslavia, which today is Serbia, Croatia, and more, and Czechoslovakia, which today is two republics, the Czech Republic and the Slovak Republic. The same thing will happen inevitably in Iran. How do I know? I'm not a future teller. First of all, I look at the demonstrations in Iran, which people are chanting Azadi, Azadi, which means in Persian, freedom, liberty, okay? Not only for women from the hegemony of the mullahs, it's also the ethnic groups like the Arabs or the Ahwaz and the Baluchis and all the others who want to be free from the Persian hegemony and persecution. I published an article about this inevitable future of Iran. I think it was last May in the Jerusalem Post. 2 days later, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Iran, Abdullahian, the one who got killed in the helicopter accident, wrote a whole article against me. 300 words. The man sat and wrote a whole article in order to refute what I was claiming, that Iran one day will be fragmented. If I was, telling nonsense, the man wouldn't write even one word against me because I'm writing nonsense. What made him sit down and write a 300-word article against me? Only the fact that I touched a very aching nerve in Iran. And this is actually what proves that I was right in this article. And for years I'm talking about this, and many Iranians sympathize with this, especially people in the Arab speaking district, because I speak Arabic with them. And they actually sent me this flag with a dedication behind it in Arabic from Iran. How did they send it? One day I will reveal it.
Professor Kedar, what percentage of the Iranian population are Shia?
Well, the Baluchis in the southeast part of Iran and the Kurds in the northwest part of Iran are Sunnis. All the rest are Shia. Yet, the Shia did not succeed to unite them. The fact that all of them are Shia did not unite the Arabs with the Persians, did not unite the Azerbaijanis with the Turkmens, because there are different ethnic groups that speak different languages at home. There are different culture, different habits, different clothing, different food, different everything. So the fact that most of the people in Iran are Shia did not make them one consolidated group, especially the Sunnis, who are different in this issue.
So, Professor Kedar, I'm going to pick up from what you taught us the last time that you briefed us. And if I could just take 60 seconds, and if I say anything wrong, please correct me. You shared with us the distinction between the Shia and the Sunni, both in terms of different versions of the Quran, a different Sharia, the terrible hatred and animosity that they've had from going back to the 7th century, and that issue is really what the issue that we're dealing with today is. There's a battle for the control or the dominance of the Islamic world between the Shia and the Sunni. One of the other points that you taught us was that within the Sunni world, you have the mainstream Sunni, and then you have the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood, which has been expelled from Saudi Arabia, expelled from the UAE, which is illegal in Egypt, which is supported by the Qatarian, the Amir's mother is the supporter of the Muslim Brotherhood, as well as Erdogan. But basically, the only area that was controlled by Muslim Brotherhood was Gaza until Hamas has been dismantled. If you could pick up at that point, within those two issues, the tension, the battle between the Sunni and the Shia, and within the Sunni, the tension between the Muslim Brotherhood and the mainstream Sunni Muslims who despise and hate the approach of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Well, the easier to explain is the Sunni and the Shia. They are fighting originally on who will rule Islam, because the fight started when Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, died, and his cousin, Ali bin Abi Talib, first cousin, claimed that he is the heir of the caliphate, means the one who will be the caliph. In Arabic means, like in Hebrew, la'khlif, substitute. Okay, so he should be the substitute of Muhammad, while others from other clans claim that he is too young and Muhammad never promised him the caliphate, and they actually took the caliphate from him for 3 terms. He was the fourth caliph, Ali. And this actually is the fight between the Si'ah. Si'ah in Hebrew is faction. Si'ah in Arabic, Shia. You know, Samech and Shin are interchangeable between Arabic and in Hebrew, like Shams, which is Shemesh, sun. Okay? So Shia in Arabic means faction. Faction of people who supported Ali and helped him to be the fourth caliph. And this animosity between Ali and the family of Muhammad on one side, and the other clans which claim to power, they're actually how the whole thing started. Later, they built the whole religious, I would say, skyscraper in order to justify every side, in order to justify his claim to power. So, you know, the Quran, different Quran, they have, the Shia has 2 more chapters in their Quran, and these 2 chapters actually justify the rule of the Shia, while the Sunnis claim that these are forged chapters which were introduced into the Quran by the Shia in order to justify the claim to power. They're different in the halakha, in the Sharia law, because they based on two different sources in almost everything. And with the years, many Sunnis, until today, especially the Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia, consider the Shia to be some kind of heresy, not even Muslims, to that degree. There were attempts to make closer these two parts of Islam. Qaradawi, the Sheikh Qaradawi was part of these attempts, but these attempts actually failed. However, you do see cooperations between, let's say, for example, Iran, which is ruled by Shia, and Hamas, who are Sunnah. And it's not easy because Hamas has to justify how come you take money and weapons from the Iranians. And the Iranians did actually support Hamas in order to show the Islamic world that they are better than the Saudis and the Emiratis and all the others, which betrayed Hamas after 2001, when the United States of America declared that Hamas is a terrorist organization, and anyone who will send money to Hamas will not be able to work with the United States. Any bank which will transfer money to Hamas will not be able to work in the United States. So all the donations which formerly came from Saudi Arabia, from the Gulf, from Bahrain, from Kuwait, from other countries, actually stopped because no bank transferred money to Hamas. So they went to the Iranians, and the Iranians gave them the money in order to put their finger into the eyes of the Saudis. You Saudis, you betrayed your brethren Hamas, we will give them the money. In order to create legitimacy to themselves as Muslims. And this is why, by the way, they call their revolution in Iran since 1979 the Islamic Revolution. Not the religious revolution, not the Shia revolution, the Islamic Revolution. Why? Because they want to show all those who consider them not to be Muslims that they are Muslims. So this actually goes into this depth of belief and consider how people consider each other in the Islamic world. This is the easy part to explain. The harder part to explain is what happens with the Muslim Brotherhood within the Sunnah. Let's put it in a simplistic, very simplistic way. All the Sunnis are divided, and I'm simplifying the whole thing tremendously, but just to explain it. All the Sunni Muslims are divided to three parts. One part is Muslims who are Muslims. They pray 5 times a day, and they fast on Ramadan, and they keep Islam, and they are loyal to Islam. Yet, they see no connection between their religion and state and society. They don't involve anything between. They go to the mosque in order to pray, and they go to work, or they do whatever they do in the society or in the state, and they see no connection, and they don't make any connection. They are religious on one side, on one level of their being, and they are people who live their life without any connection to religion. They do whatever they like, whatever they do. They could be doctors, they could be whatever they are. They work as professional people, and they relate to their environment as the normal people, without involving the religion into their consideration. This is roughly one part of the people, many of them. Another part are people who see the religion as part of the state. Religion and state are actually two sides of the same coin. This defines, or this actually describes what happens in Saudi Arabia. The Wahhabism in Saudi Arabia is indivisible part of the government, of the ruling family of Saudi Arabia. And they are in very close connection. The Al Saud family, which rules Saudi Arabia, they are in very tight connection with mainly 3 families of scholars: Al-Sheikh, Ibn al-Athimin, and Ibn Baz. These are the 3 clans of scholars whose writings are always in favor of the state, to a degree that I have a book which they publish which says, the title of the book is The Connection Between the Citizen and the State. They write in this book that if you, the citizen, if you suffer from the government, it is because of your sins. You should repent from your sins, and then Allah will make your life better. Means the government is actually the long hand of Allah to punish the sinners. To that degree, religion and state are interconnected to a degree that they are the same, I would say, the same size of the same coin, the same side of the same coin. This is how deeply the religion is involved in the government. To a degree, by the way, in Saudi Arabia, the only system of courts are the religious, the Sharia courts. There are no other system of law and courts to that degree. Everything there is about the religion. This is the second type of connection between religion and state. The Muslim Brotherhood view the state in Egypt, in Syria, in Jordan, here in Israel, in Tunisia. They view the state as the enemy of Allah. And for them, the religion actually is the best tool to hit the state, to punish the state, because the state does not implement the Sharia law. And I'm talking about Egypt, how they treat the Muslim Brotherhood, and the Muslim Brotherhood sees the state as illegitimate state. In Syria, because Syria is led by a group of infidels, the Alawis. The kingdom in Jordan is illegitimate in the eyes of the Muslim Brotherhood in Jordan, because the British actually nominated them after the Saudis expelled them from Mecca and Medina 100 years ago. In Iraq, Saddam Hussein was a sinner on right, left, and center, especially his children. And the Muslim Brotherhood in Iraq were totally against the state. Hamas are against Israel and against the PLO because they are collaborators with the United States and with the West. And in Turkey, the revolutionary Islam actually came to power as of the 90s when Erbakan was first elected to be prime minister. And again in 2002 when Erdogan was first elected 22 years ago to be the prime minister. Today he is the president of Turkey. His ideology was against the secular Turkey, which was established by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk 100 years ago on the ruins of the Ottoman Empire after it was defeated by Britain and France here in the Middle East. So the Muslim Brotherhood thinking about Islam is that it is a revolutionary Islam against the state, against the system, in order to kick out the state, means Egypt, Jordan, and so forth, Israel, the PLO, the PA, take power and implement the Sharia. So, and this is the Muslim Brotherhood kind of thinking. The pace means the speed which you want to achieve these goals are actually define your radicalism. Because if you have a long time, if you can wait, you are not radical, you can wait until your son, your grandson, your great-grandson will achieve this goal, and meanwhile you are a moderate Muslim. If you are more hasty, and you want it now, in these days, you are Hamas. If you are more hasty, you join Al-Qaeda, which is much more radical. And if you are very hasty, you want to implement it right now, you will go to ISIS. And ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Jabhat al-Nusra, all these organizations are derivatives of the Muslim Brotherhood. And the main characteristic of each and every one of these organizations is how hasty you are in order to achieve the goals of the Muslim Brotherhood. So this is very roughly, in a very simplistic way, I admit, the explanation of how the Sunni Islam is divided between those who do not combine religion and state issues, those who combine it, like Saudi Arabia, and those who are actually live on the clash between the state and the religion, which are the Muslim Brotherhood and their derivatives. And all the rest is history of the Sunni world.
Professor Kedar, we've been told by the Department of Homeland Security here in the United States, as well as by the intelligence forces across the European continent, many of the Sunni mosques that exist in America, Canada, that exist in France, England, Belgium, the Netherlands, are Muslim Brotherhood. The theology, the imams are Muslim Brotherhood. Could you comment on that?
Well, I published some more than 10 years ago in Middle East Quarterly, a whole article with the co-author David Yerushalmi, a survey of some 100 mosques all over the United States, 2 mosques from every state. We collected material from this mosque, with material which is disseminated for free, and we analyzed these mosques, and you can read it. It's open. Sharia and extremism, I think this is the title of the article, as disseminated in American mosques. It's Kedar and Yerushalmi, the only document in the whole world, in the whole internet, which bears these 2 names, Kedar, Kedar, and Yerushalmi, Yerushalmi, is this document. So you can read it for free, and you'll see the survey of mosque which we conducted and analyzed the messages in these mosques, in materials which are disseminated for free in these mosques, like a handbook of interrogation, how to resist an interrogation by the racist, fascist, criminal police, or by the racist, fascist, criminal FBI. This is one of the textbooks which they are disseminate in New York area. Okay, this is one little example. Or 40 hadith about jihad. Jihad not against the Martians or the people who came from the moon. It's jihad against the infidels, who are, inter alia, the Americans. So this, and it's mind-boggling, and these all things are in English, not some in Arabic, Arabic and English, and some of them only in English. So, and it is mind-boggling how the American authorities actually allow such materials to be disseminated for free in American mosques. Guys, people fell asleep on guard. And by the way, Qatar, the biggest financier of the Muslim Brotherhood, wherever they are in the world, they are the sponsors of CARE, the umbrella organization of the Muslim Brotherhood, and you can actually read their goals in a document which is titled the Explanatory Memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood. It's in English. It's originally in Arabic, but it was found in the 90s in the framework of the interrogation, the investigation of the Holy Land Foundation, HLF. And it was forwarded to the court in America as an exhibit. It was translated from Arabic to English, and it appears in the internet in PDF for free, 16 pages in Arabic, 16 pages in English translation, and their goal is actually to Islamize America. It can take a generation, 2 generations, 3 generations. They have patience, as stated in the Quran. In the Quran, there is a verse which says, Inna Allah ma'a sabirin, means Allah is with those who have patience. And they have patience. They will migrate, they will multiple, as they are in Europe. And just like they take Europe state by state, city by city, village by village, they will take America also, because the Atlantic Ocean is not wide enough to keep America safe from the same wave of hijra, means of migration, which is only one facet of the jihad against the infidels.
So you're sharing with us that the same Qatarians who are spending billions of dollars to buy off universities to poison the minds of young Americans on the campus are spending as well, if not billions, hundreds of millions of dollars funding Muslim Brotherhood activities in almost every state in this country. That's what you're sharing with us.
Not only this, they fund politicians. There is a report of the IRS which shows that the Clinton Foundation got money from Qatar. And this might be the reason why once Hillary Clinton once said that our Qatari friends keep telling us that the Muslim Brotherhood is a peaceful organization. She said something like this. Apparently, she didn't do the first homework of political science. Political science is trying to understand the politics of all kinds of organizations and states, right? This is political science. Usually, emblems of states or political organizations say something about the ideology. If there is a dove, it will be a peace organization. If there is the snake, the serpent, it will be connected to medicine, usually, okay? So if you look at the emblem of the Muslim Brotherhood, you will see it's a round green circle with two swords crossed, and these are curved swords, a book in the upper part, and one word in the lower part. And this is the emblem of the Muslim Brotherhood. The two swords are curved, and with a curved sword, you can do only one thing, only a vertical action, means to decapitate somebody. So, and there are two of them, not one. The book is the Quran, and the word which appears on the emblem is in Arabic, wa'iddu. Wa'iddu translate to English, and prepare, is an imperative for plural. Prepare what? Breakfast. This word appears in the Quran, which appears in the upper part of the emblem. It appears only one time, as the beginning of a verse which says, and prepare against them, means against the infidels, whatever you can from power and bound horses, in order to strike terror into the hearts of your enemies and the enemies of Allah. To strike terror means to prepare whatever you have to prepare, bound horses and weapons, in order to strike terror. Means this verse actually orders the Muslims to strike terror into the hearts of the infidels. And the word which appears in the Quran only once and opens this verse appears on the emblem of the Muslim Brotherhood. And this is how peaceful this organization is, with two swords and the order to strike terror into the hearts of the enemies of Islam. This is what Hillary Clinton knows from the Qatari friends of the Clinton Foundation and the Muslim Brotherhood alike. Now you understand.
Unfortunately, she's not the only one. I mean, the mainstream press in this country, the academicians, and what Vladimir Lenin used to refer to as the useful idiots who are being used right now in Chicago and the streets of this country have no clue what the ideology and the theology of the Muslim Brotherhood is. Could you give us a little bit of background?
By the way, I would follow the money. I will follow the money. Mm-hmm. Because too much Qatari money is running in the veins of too many people in the United States of America. Politicians, media people, academicians, and influencers like bloggers and so forth. Too much Qatari money is running in their veins.
So they're the bankers. They're the primary funders of hatred and of evil in this country and Europe and other parts. The Qatarians.
Yeah.
Could you share with us a little bit about the history? When did the Muslim Brotherhood start? Where did it start? and how did it expand? And the reason I'm asking that is because Hamas being members of the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas being very passionate members of the Muslim Brotherhood, what's the roots of that theology, that ideology?
Well, the organization started in 1928 in a town in Egypt on the Suez Canal named Ismailia, in the grocery shop of a man named Hassan el-Banna. The background of this organization is what happened in Egypt those days, where the British were actually ruling or controlling Egypt to a large extent. The country was under the dynasty of the kings. The last one was Farouk, who was expelled in 1952 by the officers Gamal Abdel Nasser and his friends. And the British, who in the late 20s actually encouraged the civil society in Egypt to talk about everything in order to prepare this society for the future of a state. They allowed all kinds of ideas, or they even encouraged modern ideas to come into Egypt, especially when it comes to two issues. One issue is the kind of government. The British wanted to modernize Egypt and to convince the Egyptians to follow the British or the European, Western European kind of statehood, which also people do democracy, human rights, which later was more pushed forward, and elections, parties, free speech, free politics, and this is one thing, and which is totally against Islam. Equality between Christians and Muslims and all the others. Everything is against Islam, because according to Islam should rule, not the Christians, and there are like 10% in Egypt that are Christians. Equality is unacceptable by these people. So this is one thing which aggravated these Islamists in Egypt. The second thing is the changes in gender issues or the status of women in Egypt. The British encouraged women to go in the streets without the hair veil. And in the 20s, for a lady, married lady, or grown-up lady, as of the age of 12, to go in the street without a hair veil is just like for an American lady to walk in Manhattan during the day totally naked. This is the same. So since the British were encouraging women, just like in Europe, women do not necessarily go with the head cover, neither in Paris nor in London, and it's okay. Nobody makes an issue out of it. The same thing they tried to push in Egypt. They encourage women to take part in politics, to take part in economy, to take part in education, to be more educated and to go out from home and to work. And for the Islamists, this was an influx of Western ideas, anti-Islamic ideas, also in this issue of gender and women. So these two things make the government issues and the gender issues made these people who were loyal to Islam very, very much afraid of this influx of Western ideas into the Egyptian society. So they established this organization, the Muslim Brotherhood, in order to achieve three goals. One was to get rid of the British, means the foreign occupation. And by the way, the fact that the British, who are Christians, are ruling Muslims, this is totally against Islam. Because in Islam, there is a rule which says, Al-Islam ya'lu wa la yu'la alayhi. Means the Islam is superior and nothing can be above Islam. So how come those Christians, the British, are coming to our country to defile our country and to rule us and to be above us? This is totally against Islam. This is totally against the rules of physics, according to what they think. So first of all, they have to get rid of the foreign occupation. This is one pillar of the Muslim Brotherhood. The second pillar is to get rid of the Western culture, which infiltrated our societies in the government issues and the gender issues and many other issues as well, like media. in order to get rid of the filth which comes from the West and the corruption which comes from the West, as they phrase it. This is the second pillar. The third pillar is after we achieve the first and the second, which we get rid of the foreign occupation and the foreign culture, now we can implement the Sharia in our societies, and we all are loyal to Allah through the Sharia law. And these are the three pillars of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt as of the 1928, like 95 or 94 years ago. These ideas spread all over the Islamic world, and you see today many organizations which follow these three ideas or three pillars of the Muslim Brotherhood. It's the El Nahda in Tunisia. You have it in Morocco, two organizations. You have it in Israel, the Islamic movement in Israel, two factions. You have it in Jordan, the Muslim Brotherhood. You have it in Syria. You have it in Lebanon. You have it in many other. And they also migrate to other countries, like the United States, like in Europe. And there also, they are against the Westernism, which they migrated to. Means they came to France not to become French, not to eat whatever comes to their plate and to drink whatever is poured into the glasses. They want to live in France, but in an Islamic environment, in order to push out all the infiltration of Western ideas and ideologies. They don't want their daughters to start going around without hair veil. They don't want their daughters to have boyfriends, as it is customary in high school in Europe and in America, and so forth. And they want to live in France, but in an Islamic environment. So this is the Muslim Brotherhood, where they are active within those people who do not want to be dragged behind the Western culture, which they migrated to in order to have good work, good housing, good health, and a safe society, but they didn't come to corrupt their daughters. And this is where the Muslim Brotherhood come in order to offer them an alternative to the state. And this is the problem with these organizations, because not only they are offering an alternative to the state, they want to Islamize the state.
If we could go back to the beginning of the conversation that we had, the 1400 years of hatred between the Shia and the Sunni. Many people say the following. I have no idea whether it's true or not, that part of the reason that the Shia proxies that are being funded by Iran, whether it's the Hezbollah, whether it's the Shia militias in Syria and Western Iraq, whether it's others, the Houthis, they did not come full force to the defense of Hamas when Hamas perpetrated the horrific pogrom that they perpetrated on Israel and on the Jews. They didn't come in full force when the IDF went into Gaza and has dismantled Hamas, because bottom line is those are Sunnis. They're Muslim Brotherhood Sunnis. They're not true believers. And bottom line is, if it had happened to Shia, maybe we'd go and we'd risk everything and go attack the Israelis full force for our fellow Shia brothers, but not for the heretic Sunnis. Is there any truth to that theory, or is that strictly speculation?
This could be in the background. Nobody will admit, because it's shameful to say such a thing by them. Yet, it is in the background. The main reason why so far Iran didn't start a war against Israel, and Hezbollah, whatever they have against Israel, means what they do against Israel since October 7th, is actually border clashes plus, or maybe plus. They didn't attack Haifa, they didn't attack Tel Aviv, they didn't attack the infrastructure in Israel, the facilities of electricity, water, the gas rigs in the sea. They didn't do anything against the infrastructure. All they do is border clashes plus. This actually shows you that they did not start an all-out war against Israel. And the reason is because Hamas started this war without the permission of the Iranians and without notifying the other partners. I published in April of 2023, year and a half ago, half a year before the war started, an article on Makor Rishon. It was translated into English. You can read it on JNS, I think. Yeah, in JNS, about the war which Iran prepares against Israel, an all-out war from all the fronts together, by all the proxies, from Syria, from Lebanon, from Iraq, from Yemen, from Gaza, inside Israel, inside the territories. Everybody should start together an all-out war against Israel, and according to their estimation, Israel would collapse within a week, because the barrage of missiles and drones and whatever can be launched, in addition to a ground incursion into Israel, as was near Gaza, also in the north, Israel will be devastated. All the reserve are still at home. They cannot get to the fronts because there are no roads and no bridges. And the American Navy is in Virginia. The Europeans are anyway asleep. So Israel will be left alone and destroyed within a week. This was the Iranian satanic, diabolic plan. I published it in April of 2023. Hamas were not supposed to start a war by themselves. They did it. Hamas did it because the Saudi and the Israeli advancement in negotiations towards normalization, which was supposed to be in June 2024, before the elections in the United States, in order to give Biden and his administration the opportunity to come, to the lawn of the White House and to have a handshake between Israel and Saudi Arabia and many other countries which will follow Saudi Arabia, like Pakistan, Indonesia, Malaysia, after all, and many more from Central Asia, from Africa, and Chad, Niger, Mali, Tunisia, Mauritania, because all these countries will follow Saudi Arabia, thanks to the gifts which they are going to get from the United States if they join this big. So whatever Trump did in 2020 with the Emirates, Bahrain, and later with Morocco and Israel, what the Biden administration would have been much bigger, much wider, much more attractive, and will help them, inshallah, in the elections of November. This was the plan already then. Hamas heard about this, and they decided to turn the table over, the heads of the Israelis and the Saudis together, by starting a war. Because during a war, the Saudis cannot advance in their way to normalize relations with Israel. And this why Hamas started the war against the will of the Iranians at that timing. The Iranians would start the war only, the all-out war, only after they succeed to acquire nuclear weapons, in order to make sure that nobody gives them the bill for what they do. Yet, Hamas decided to go forward. They apparently thought that they will get out of it. They will get away with this. Means that they will succeed to kidnap some hundreds of Israelis, and they did. And they thought that Israel will never invade Gaza because Hamas are holding 200 and more Israeli hostages. Israel behaved in another way, which they did not expect, such a war. If they knew what will happen in Gaza, what you see today, they would never do such a thing. Sinwar made a conclusion from the Shalit swap, which he was released in the framework of thousands of 27 killers, which Israel was forced to release for one Gilad Shalit. So Sinwar said, if we have 250 Gilad Shalits, Israel will never invade Gaza. And Israel did, against his will. So the Iranians, who were surprised by this war, told Hamas, good luck. You started the war, good luck with the Israelis. This is why the Iranians never started the war. The Iranians sent in April like 300 missiles against Israel, not because what we do in Gaza, but because we apparently, according to foreign media, Israel got rid of the Quds force commander in Damascus. This is why Iran retaliated, not because of what they did to Gaza. And the Gazans, and means Hamas, were very much offended by the fact that Iran is not part of the war yet. Then Hezbollah also. This is not a war, what they do. This is a border clashes. And Hamas are very angry at their partners who did not come to help them. Because they are Sunnis? Could be, yes. This is the background. But the real reason, or the immediate reason, is because Hamas started a war against the will of the Iranians and their proxies. Anyone who disobeys the Iranians is the end of him. The Iranians' culture is that you never disobey your superior, whether in the family or at work or wherever it is. Obedience is a very, very important part of the Iranian behavior and the Iranian mindset. And if you disobey them, the hell with you. This is what happened in Gaza.
Professor Kedar, thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any other thoughts or any last thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
Well, the situation today is in the Mediterranean Sea, there is a whole fleet of American ships, aircraft carriers, one submarine, and many ships which in their storages, what they have, they can flatten Iran with the earth. Maybe Lebanon as well. They came here not in order to destroy Iran, unfortunately. They came here in order to deter Iran from opening a war. And by the way, also to convince Israel not to destroy the Iranian oil facilities in the Gulf, which Israel threatened to do if Israel is attacked by Iran. And Israel can do it. And just like we did it in Hudaydah in Yemen. The United States doesn't want war. They want to finish this war in a way or another because they are approaching elections. They don't need wars, especially regional war or maybe something even bigger. And they're afraid that if there is a war, the Russians will interfere in order to save their friends, the Iranians, because the Russians, unlike others, are loyal to their friends. And the Chinese, who knows what they are preparing, because they are addicted to the Iranian oil and gas because of the energy issue. And if Israel attacks the Iranian oil facilities in the Gulf, China will not like it at all. So the United States came here in order to make sure that the parties of this war will not ignite a regional war, which might ignite a global war. And this is what they are doing here. This is one thing. Second thing, Israel cannot live in a constant war, as we are already more than 10 months. The economy has many damages. People are being killed. Every day almost we have one soldier, two soldiers, and this is very agonizing. We cannot continue with this. People are injured. The whole north is evacuated. Israeli places are being demolished by Hezbollah. Groves forests are being burned by Hezbollah. And this is no sovereignty. This is no way to live. Israel must exchange the war with something else called deterrence. And Israel should take advantage of the fact that the American fleet is in the sea in order to come to an understanding with the American administration. You, Americans, you make sure that the Iranians are not interfering. And we will close the problem with Lebanon by giving the Lebanese, Hezbollah, a warning or a threat. Let's say now is, let's say, 20 minutes before midnight here in Israel. Israel should tell Hezbollah, 6 in the morning, 6 hours from now, if you shoot one missile, one drone, one rocket, one shot to Israel, we destroy Lebanon. Totally. Lebanon will return to the Stone Age. We are going to do it. One drone, one missile, one rocket, one shot will be enough. You have 6 hours to call everybody to order. As of 6 in the morning, be very careful, because we mean what we say and we say what we mean. Read our lips. And we will not call you and don't call us. We'll destroy you. Totally. This will stop the war with Lebanon. Because here in the Middle East, the only thing which works is a credible threat. Not a threat. Threat you can talk until tomorrow. Nobody believes you. Only if you air a credible threat and you say it out loud to the media, means now you're committed to what you said. This is the only thing which works. And this is what Israel should have done months ago. But unfortunately, Israel has to coordinate everything with the White House or with the State Department. And in the American administration of today, they are not that decisive when it comes to issues. They try to appease the thugs too much, too long, too many times. As of the JCPOA of 2015, when Joe Biden was the vice president, the nuclear agreement with Iran, they always try to appease the thugs, imagining that these people will be one day good people. No, the Ayatollahs will always be haters of the West. They will always chant in the street, death to Israel, death to America. Mark bar Israel, Mark bar America. Death to Israel, death to America. Because they hate America. Because America threatens them. America is democracy. America is modernism. America is individualism. America is permissiveness, how they see it. And they hate America because of this. Because America is the herald of the Westernism in the world. And they are afraid of this Westernism. They hate it. Because it undermines their youth or the moral level of their youth, as they claim. And therefore, America and Europe is the source of the corruption in the world. Not only economic corruption, but also sexual corruption. All these things which connected to gender issues, which today is the name of the game in many Western societies. This is what threatens them. This is why America is the big devil. And Israel is the small devil. Because Israel is the knife in the heart of the Arab and the Islamic world. Because Israel is actually a revivalism of Judaism, which came back to life after Islam, according to their belief, came to the world to replace both Judaism and Christianity. And Israel is the product of a collaboration between Jews and Christians against Islam in order to bring Judaism back to life on the Jewish homeland. And this is how they view the state of Israel as a state of people, of Jews, who should live under the yoke of Islam as dhimmis and pay the jizya and be humiliated because they did not believe in Muhammad, neither Jews nor Christians. And this is how they see themselves. This is why they hate America as the Christian herald in the world and Israel as the Jewish state, the only state in the world. And this is the source of all their hatred against Israel and against the West. Because this is Jewish, this is Christian, and they are collaborating against us, Islam, in order to corrupt our daughters through the media, through all kinds of films and pornography, which they disseminate all over the world through the media. This is how they, both Muslim Brotherhood on one side, Saudis also, and the Iranians as well, all are seeing themselves as victims of the Western culture, which spreads all over the world through the cell phone, which is the most dangerous tool in the hands of a 16-year old girl who has the freedom to speak with whoever she wants, about whatever she wants, whenever she wants, without the surveillance of her parents, which can pick up the extension of the home phone and listen to whom she's corresponding with. No, this is give her autonomy. And autonomy to 16-year-old girl in the Islamic world is something which they cannot accept totally, because this girl will be enchanted by the glamorous West and will be attracted by what the West has to offer to these girls. And this is why they hate us, this is why they hate you, this is why they hate the West in general, and they are committed to the jihad against Israel and against the West in order to save Islam from the filth, as they call it, which is disseminated by the West and the inventions of the West, which disseminate the Western corruption all over the world. This is how they feel, and this is what motivates them, and all the rest is current history.
Thank you very much for contextualizing this, for elaborating and explaining this, and giving us a perspective of how the Iranians think, how the Muslim Brotherhood thinks, what their goals are, what their agenda is, and for enlightening us. We're very grateful to you, Professor Kedar.
Thank you so much. And look, I don't want to sound as generalizing, because many Muslims, especially those who migrated to the West, they adopted the Western ideas. They became totally French or Belgians or Americans, whatever, and they actually internalized the culture of the country which they came to, and I have nothing to say, nothing to against them. They are fully French or Germans or Americans, whatever they are. And there are many of them. The problem is that they not only they don't have any influence on those radicals who want to continue to stick to their tradition, they actually are intensifying the radicalism within the radicals. Because it's, let's say, if your brother became, he left Islam, and he eats whatever comes to his plate and whatever, drinks whatever is poured to his glass, and he couldn't care less about the fasting on Ramadan, because he became totally American or French, okay? He is threatening the family, because the other members of the family are afraid that what he is doing actually will go to their children. And what he did actually intensifies their radicalism. So it goes both ways. Some are being absorbed by the accepting society, and they are fully Americans or whatever, while the others, when they see this, they become more radicalized because of this. So this is, I would say, a dual pendulum, which one side goes one direction and the other side go to the other direction as a result. And this also has to be taken in account, that yes, there are many of them who become totally Americans and French or whatever. Others became more radicalized because of this.
Professor Kedar, we want to wish you a Shavua Tov. We want to wish you a wonderful week.
Thank you so much.
We want to thank you. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for your perspective.
Thank you so much.